Luke was not an apostle, he was a doctor. But he was with these fellows, and he writes the book of Luke. Thank you all again for really getting into the worship service. God has blessed us today. When you have Luke chapter 11, say amen. If you're still looking, say, wait, preacher. All right. At Matthew, Mark, Luke, if you get to John, you got to come back east. Amen. Luke chapter 11, when you have to say amen. Amen. Let's go down to the 5th verse. And it reads as thus. And he said unto them, which of ye shall have a friend, and shall go unto him at midnight, and say unto him, friend, lend me 3 loaves. For a friend of mine is in his journey is come to me, and I have no bread to give him. I'm going to paraphrase. And he that was on the other side of the door said, don't be troubling me. My door is shut now, and my children are in the bed, and I'm not going to get up and give you some bread. I'm paraphrasing, church, to make it help you understand it. And Jesus has given this parable to his 12, amen. He's telling them a story. He said, I say unto you, though he will not rise and give him because he is his friend, yet because of his importunity, his persistence, his friend will finally rise up and give him what he needs. And Jesus says, and I say unto you, 12, ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. And I preached this about 4 or 5 years ago. The Lord said it's time to talk about it because we're in such a state in this country. And I want to talk from the subject. There's somebody knocking. There's somebody knocking. There's somebody knocking. When Jesus gives them this parable, he's trying to give them a heavenly message for an earthly situation. And this text finds us this morning learning to understand, listen, church, the awesome responsibility we have as Christians after we finish praying. I better stay right there.
Come on.
See, the Christian responsibility happens after he prays, not before.
Come on, Pastor. Come on.
In this 11th chapter of Luke, Jesus had just taught his disciples the model prayer. So when you hear in Matthew 6, he said, Our Father which art in heaven, that is not the Lord's Prayer, that's the disciples' model prayer. Well, what does that mean, preacher? That's a template or a form of how you should pray.
Let's make it plain.
So that is not the Lord's Prayer, that's his way to teach you how to pray. But the Lord's Prayer in John 17 is when Jesus prayed for us. But we call it the Lord's Prayer because folk want to know it if you say anything else. But that's just for your edification. The Lord's Prayer is John 17. Amen. Now, my brothers and sisters, immediately upon teaching them the model prayer, Jesus teaches them through this parable that once you finish praying, God expects you to do something. See, prayer just starts the process. I hope y'all hear me. And what God will not do, church, he will not do for you what you can do for yourself. Amen. See, God will give you money to buy some gas, but he's not going to fill up the tank for you. You got to pull in the speedway and screw off the cap and put the gas in. I'm trying to keep it simple, but I'm trying. Now, if you don't have money for gas, now you pray for some money. But once you get the money back, then God ain't going down to the gas station and fill it up. You got to do that. The things in our lives that we can do ourselves, God's not going to do it for you. Amen. If you sick and you ain't taking your medicine, that ain't God's fault. If God allows you to have good health insurance to get the medicine, then he expects you to take it. I hope y'all hear me. You ain't getting no better. You take your medicine, I'm like that. God is not going to make you take the medicine. He will provide when you move on. I'm trying to say he won't do for you what you can do for yourself. So the 5th verse begins with a persistent friend knocking at midnight. See, we don't even want the phone to ring at midnight. Amen. Now, first of all, we must deal with the knocking of a friend. And just for the simple fact that one friend had to knock means there's something separating one friend from the other. I'm just painting a picture. And I don't know about you, but it seems like a knock at midnight carries more of a burden than a knock at noonday. Amen. If they knock at midnight, it ain't no good feeling, but I mean, midday is not so bad, but midnight carries an extra burden. And just in case there's someone here who thinks that midnight only arrives when it's dark outside, midnight can come when the sun is at high noon. But there's one thing that you can almost always be sure of. When somebody's knocking at midnight, they're in need of something. It's some substance or shelter or something. If somebody knocks at midnight, they're in need of something. Let me remind you that knocking comes in many forms. For a salesman knocks on your door to get in to sell you something. A mechanic knocks and pecks on your car to see what the trouble is with your car. A doctor uses a stethoscope to check the knocking of your heart. A psychiatrist uses a couch to check the knocking of your mind. But this text talks about 3 friends. One knocking, one answering the door, and the third one in need of some bread. Amen. There's that number 3 again. Amen. Just to give you a little background about this time in which Jesus was teaching this, in those days it was always too hot to travel during the day. So most travelers traveled in the night, in the cool of the night, to escape the dangerous sun. S-U-N. So we find this weary traveler coming to a friend's house at midnight. And it leads us to this point of, which was very important in Jesus' day, hospitality. My brothers and sisters, we have almost lost the art of hospitality. I guarantee you right now, if you go south and you spend any time in somebody's house, they want to feed you. They feel insulted if you don't eat something before you leave their house. And up north, we hope they don't want nothing. We just got a little bit. We weren't expecting all of them bacon here. We weren't expecting all of them. We were down in Atlanta this past summer, and we went outskirts to see her uncle and aunt she hadn't seen in a while. And we had already planned to go somewhere and eat that evening, but they wouldn't let us get out of the house. all of a sudden they just start cooking it. Y'all don't hear me. See, you don't ask for when you really mean to give them something. You don't ask for it. You just start doing it. And I could tell. I looked over. I said, they cooking something in the kitchen. And we were trying to get out of there. When you go by, you don't want to you just want to go by and touch hands and keep rolling. And I said, man, we're gonna be here a while. Auntie in there cooking. They don't ask them nothing down south. They just start doing it. So we started trying to get the dough. Because we just going by. You know how you go by and make a little cameo visit. You don't really know. Man, they say, well, y'all come on, get it. We took our coats and stuff off, and she had cooked up ribs, and it was the day after slavery, and they had all this stuff out. But they would have been insulted if we had said we didn't want it. And we as a people have lost the art of really having hospitality to folk that come to our house. So Jesus is teaching them in this first point about hospitality. But up here is me, myself, and I. Amen. I truly believe that our foreparents from the South shared. And we grew up sharing. Because nobody had nothing, but all of us had a little something. And so we would pool whatever we had together and kind of work it in the neighborhood, but not so, not today. Back in the day, when strangers showed up, this is a good lesson, unannounced, the homeowner would give up his master bedroom and sleep on the couch. Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. Yes. That was inbred in them to always be hospitable to your guests. Yes. So here we read this text. I got to get out of here. Archie Powell, I'm on the way. So here we read this text about one friend that finally opens the door for his friend. But when he opens the door, he doesn't have bread to give him. So in verse 6, he said, let me go to my friend next door and explain to him my problem. When we look at the conditions of our community today, we will work hard to ignore a knock at the door than to help someone that's knocking. In fact, these days, if somebody knock at midnight, you won't greet them with hospitality. You'll probably greet them with a shotgun or a pistol. That sounds funny. That's probably right, ain't it? Amen. But as Jesus kept on teaching this parable, he says in verse 7 that the third friend said, trouble me not, for my door is now shut and my children are with me in bed and I can't get up to give you some bread. And this is the message I want to help us with today. Brother Miller, you kept